All right, so we just finished the meditation, and I'm curious what's present for you right now.
I feel very relaxed and a little bit curious for what can come up. Um, I'm a little bit tired as I was working quite a lot during the last uh, couple of months um, with my full-time job and trying to um, start a business as well. So the entrepreneur life is quite hard when you have a house and children. It's a physical feeling of being tired, but emotionally, I'm very looking forward. I really believe I have something to contribute. So it's a mix of feelings like I'm sometimes physically very tired, but I'm really looking for um, start that business and see if I can help more families. Um, so this is what is present for me now. I was not working today as it's Good Friday, but still being in the computer for all day long, trying to make adjustment and trying to make my product as good as I can. Um, that remind me to the reflection of not trying to be perfect and just feel when it's enough to let it go because the message is good and I have the experience and I have the knowledge. Um, so I need to let go perfectionism and controlling, trying to have everything setting in place and not being so afraid that technology cannot work or all these things that I have no control. So, in other words, separating and looking for things that I can improve or have control and be very conscious about things that I have no control. And yeah, the control one, it's a hard one for me. Um, so yes, this is what it was present for me now.
Mm, yeah. So I hear that you are, um, today was an off day, but since you're starting this new business, it sounds like you were working on that today and you've been very busy because you work a full-time job and you have three kids and you're a single mom and you're starting this business. Yeah, I heard that tiredness and then during the meditation, like that relaxed state. And now with this new business, it's learning like when to let go of control or perfectionism and I saw a smile as you were talking about that. And it it does that mean that's something you've been like working on and kind of getting a reminder about, or I was curious what the smile was.
Yes, I think it all comes for the way I was raised, you know, or the society is pressure you to perform in certain way, and it's also a characteristic that I demand a little bit too much for myself. Um, but it comes from my story, the way I was raised, not only in my house with my parents but in the school, on all this system in where you need to perform as they expect. So, and you was measuring for your productivity or how well you can do things. So I think all these demand come from um, not being allowed to make mistakes or to learn from the wrong decision or take it easy if things are not exactly as you was expected. So all this pressure is so inside me um, that even if I'm conscious where it's coming from, it's like hard in the practical to put it in place and to remind that it's going to be okay. Um, but this boundary in between what is okay, what is going to be a mess or something that cannot go out in that way, or it's too much. And another layer is that I'm doing that with a friend, and we are different people. We have different points of view. Sometimes we really agree, we have fun together, and sometimes we have very different opinions. We have different personalities and backgrounds. So it's also a hard work to combine everything and sometimes let it go, and sometimes like, no, this is too much. I cannot let it go. It doesn't have anything like my style in here, so we need to move it a little bit on my side. So it's a huge learning process. Look, I'm doing this business and I'm learning so much about technology that I don't like. So I'm making a big effort. Um, yes, it's so I'm not only tired because the hours I'm sitting in the computer, but all the energy I'm putting here and the expectation that I can reach the people that need what I have to contribute. Um, so yes, this is this is where I'm was spending the last couple of months, and in fact part of last year as well. And in the meantime, life goes on. You know, it doesn't stop because you're busy in a project. So things happen constantly, and yeah, I'm trying to learn from all this experience, but um, as I told you before, sometimes it's easy to have cognitively what understanding what's happening, but to take it really in my body and don't feel or manage my feeling when I'm ready to give up, or or I think that I cannot hold it any longer, um, and then I come back and come back and come back again. Um, yeah, I think it's because I really think that I can offer some help, and it's same kind of help I was receiving for my parenting. Uh, I receive a lot of help and support and by courses and mentors, and now I know that I have something to offer for for the families who have children with Down syndrome, and I gained so much experience and I did several courses. But to put the product as I like, uh, this is where I promote that and all the social media work, and because I always was going through that very traditional path. You know, you study, you have your degree, your work, and there uh, you are an employee and that work, you receive your salary, you take your savings, you have your life. So it's a very high risk for me going out of that traditional path and have this risk and know about this modern way of communication. And it's so it changed every day, and you need to be update with all the modern technology and how is the best way to communicate and to find the people you want to help. So it's really a challenge. I'm not so young anymore, and I'm fighting with my um, old style brain and traditional thoughts. So at some point it's funny, and some other days or moment it's so exhausting. Um, but I think it's a nice challenging situation that I put myself on.
Yeah, well, I hear that not only are you just starting a business, but there's like this whole learning part that's happening at the same time. And another layer is you have this business partner. So it's not just you making all the decisions and doing everything yourself, which in some ways is easier when it's just you. And in some ways, it's nice having that partner to share the load. But then you're talking about, it can be difficult working with someone else and all the things that come up. And then you also mentioned cognitively knowing things, but that the body doesn't always respond the same way as what you're saying in your mind. And so you have to deal with that. You're dealing with the feelings and the triggers or activations that show up, and
Hmm.
that that is a lot of work just on its own, not having the parenting and full-time job to go with it. So yeah, it makes sense that it would be tiring, and yeah, learning all the new technology stuff, and it's not easy.
Hmm. Yeah,
But you also seem like you kind of like the challenge a
yeah.
little bit in some ways.
I like the way where I'm with the family and the parents, but all these other steps are the challenging one. And I was not growing up with technology, with computer and internet and all this social media. I guess it's going to be much easier for next generations, even if it changed so quickly and new technology appear. But like the logistic and the logic and more or less the practice of being in contact with that is, I think, is going to be much easier. But uh, yeah, it's quite a challenge. Sometimes I need to pat myself like I'm doing a lot. Um, and I also give
Yeah.
some time, like, I'm going to invest my energy and my time and part of my health and my spare time and even my time with my own family. Like, this is the most important part for me, but I need to invest this energy and time. So I give some time frame to see if it's working or not. Um, this is something that it helps me, like, okay, it's going to be this period of time. If it's not working, it's it's over. Um, that's what I'm thinking now. Maybe I reach that time frame. I said, now let's go a little bit more. It depends of the results. But yeah, it's quite an adventure.
Yeah. And is this something that you're doing in person, or is it like an online virtual?
Yes,
You said you're working with families.
it's an online because it could be something similar of what I'm doing in my formal job in present here in Brazil, but it's going to be in English and it's going to be online. This partner is from the United States. I never met physically her, but we become friends in the same course and we start this. She started this business and she asked me to join her. Um, so yes, it's online. So I'm working uh, mainly with the computer all day in my job and come back home and sitting in the computer is something like, oh, sometimes it's too much. I don't like
Mhm.
screens, but it's the way we work and we communicate nowadays. I would prefer a work outside in nature and something completely different from what I have been doing. But yeah, I think the impulse and the belief on the message and the way we can support each other with the experience that I have and the so many stories and families I could reach is is mine is the motor of all this project. That it sounds quite crazy because I don't have the time and I don't have the knowledge to do that, but this is what motivates me, and that's why I invest in all this time and energy.
Yeah. And just to clarify, you don't have the knowledge of the technology part?
Yes,
Is that what you mean?
yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, I know you have a lot of knowledge on the like what you're
Yes,
offering, but
yes, yes. But these social media algorithm and uh, the different platforms in where you can announce what you are offering is you need to keep constantly update and try to find these people, um, because in the beginning I was thinking, okay, I'm going to launch my message. If someone comes, that's okay. But then it was like an expensive hobby. Make it for whatever happens. If you want to make it serious and have and connect with the people you think you can help, you need to have some kind of consistency, and you need to find a platform and a way to communicate and strategies to reach the people. And you need to learn these strategies, so some courses, some tutorials, and the times go by. Um, and it's a constantly learning process, like in life. Um, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. And it feels like it's constantly changing too, like social media and how to reach people. It can be tricky. Like you said, you don't really want to be spending your time researching and learning how to reach people, like the marketing aspect when
hmm
you're like already don't have a lot of time and
hmm
you are so passionate about these families that you work with. And yeah, it's the kind of sometimes downside to business ownership. Um, but I see you doing your best with it. And um, yeah, really putting yourself out there.
yes, it's a
So with this, the new business, is it um like geared towards families with Down syndrome
yes,
specifically?
yes.
Okay.
My colleague is having some knowledge and experience with children with autism as well, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the children or people who has Down syndrome can also have autism. So it's a little bit of a mix. My best experience is in families who have children with Down syndrome. I mean, children, teens, young adults, or adults with Down syndrome. And this is my uh, area of research and working all day with these families as I'm working in a Down syndrome association. So I'm seeing the couples signs they know the diagnosis of the baby when they are pregnant until they have adults. Um, so I'm constantly hearing these stories and working with these people. And as I get so much experience and knowledge I would like to offer more abroad in English or Spanish, but mainly in English, for the families who may need that support. I didn't and cannot find an association or any parenting support in this specific area with these specific challenges. Uh, so yes, this is something I know I can offer, but yeah,
Mhm.
all this business part is hard.
I feel you. It is it is hard. And I'm I'm touched by your heart of, you know, um of helping these parents. Um like I just it seems like all parents need support,
Mhm.
but then when there's these other factors like autism or Down syndrome, that it just seems like even more support is needed. And the type of support that I know you provide, um, it being, connection based versus just like therapy or, um, you know, um, it's not just behavioral strategies. Like you really meet people
Mhm.
and understand them. And that is just so needed
Mhm.
in this world. So, um,
Yes,
yeah.
and what I find, Christine, that is sometimes a lot of the programs are child-centered based.
Mm,
They told you what you need to do, and of course, we need this information, like you need to control this or that, like very medical center model, and there are not so many programs that are centering the family, in the parents. Because if you as a parent have some doubts or worries or fears and you cannot work on that and you cannot process that, it's going to be hard to really believe in your child, even if you have a disability, because you need to face your own triggers. You need to face, your own questions in your mind about the future or about the society and inclusion. Until you don't process and you review and you have the safe space to process all of that, um, it's it's like you can do everything for your child in a mechanic way. Okay, I'm going to the pediatrician, check. I'm going to endocrinologist, checked. I'm going to speech therapy, checked. You can feel like you are doing everything, but what about me? You know very well, and it happened with me. I put always my children first because we love them so much, and it's hard to take time for myself. And it was a pivoting point when I could process my own feelings, my own patterns, not only for my daughter who has Down syndrome, but for my three kids. That was a huge difference. And what I'm seeing is most of the parenting programs or specialists in the associations are giving you more things to do. You are already so exhausted, and there are more appointments and more things. And so the responsibility is so huge to raise a child, every child. And with these other challenges, you need to be aware of so many other things. It looks like everything depends on you. And it's hard to separate what belongs to me, what belongs to my child, what things I can control, what things I cannot control. It's an independent life. It's not a direct relationship. Everything that I'm going to do to stimulate it points to me that is going he or she is going to thrive. There's a huge gap. There are so many variables. that can. So the only thing that I can do is take care of my feelings, take care of my um the energy and the resources I can take without forget about my self-care, my well-being. And this is the piece that I think is missing in some of the programs. And then I even get some books or went to some conferences in where like you need to do this, and I'm going like, oh, nobody asked about me, how I was doing. And I notice that in my practice when I'm talking with the mothers and I say, how about you? How are you feeling? And she said, well, the cardiologist said that blah, 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 blah. And the other doctor said, no, I'm talking about you. And she's saying about the partner or the other children and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to ask, I was asking about you. How are you? And then, as uh, very feminine thing, I think. She realizes I'm asking about her. Uh, and I said mothers because, in the first year, biologically, it's the mother who is putting so much of her body and time and maybe effort. Not that the fathers are not coming along, are not super, super important, but uh, for the emotional part of the moms, mainly in the first years, is like so much. And um, I was not having this support in the first years. So when I have it later, I realize how easy it could be if I had it from the first uh, month of of my daughter. So this is my project. This is what is having me very busy and tired, but motivated at the same time. This is where I'm having been at the last time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you bring up such an important point that there is support available. But like you said, it's like giving parents more stuff to do, more stuff to keep track of. Or it's like, here's strategies for dealing with this thing. Here's how you deal with that thing. And at some point it's like, yeah, what about me as the parent? And again, offering people or telling them how to do something is very different than being with them through the feelings, through the experience. Because I've seen coaches that, it's like, oh, here's a strategy for dealing with this with your kid. Here's a strategy for dealing with that. Or start addressing your own traumas. And this is how you do that. But they're not like with you doing it, providing the input, the like either one-on-one support or group support or however. Um, and that getting that real support of the being,
Mhm,
you know
mhm,
um at least I know I've noticed that difference in support that I've gotten, that just telling me how to do something
mhm,
or watching a video on how to do it is not the same as receiving support for my need in that moment, for my need, not just the need of, oh, I need to figure this out with my kid, like how to handle the situation, but I have emotional needs or I have things coming up for me in that, in this difficult situation with my kid. I have my own stuff coming up.
mhm,
And when there's support, because not everyone knows how to deal with that. So, and sometimes we do know when it's too big to deal with it by ourselves. So to have that support so that the parent is taken care of so that they can then support their kids and what they need. Like
Mhm.
you get that.
Mhm.
You get that. And
Mhm.
you know what it's like to have that
Mhm.
support and the difference that it makes. And you see the kind of gap or what's missing in some of these other programs.
Mhm.
And yeah, it is so needed.
Mhm.
So I get your like passion for it.
Yes, yes, and you describe that perfectly well. There's no people exactly the same as other, and sometimes like they make groups. Toddlers, okay, how to deal with a toddler, how to deal with a child with Down syndrome, and every single child is different. Every single family is different. So I really believe that all the answers are inside us. It's just to provide the space for you to authentically listen to yourself, listen to your inner voice, take your own decisions in a safe place or in a safe space in where you can explore and people can be with you. No judging and not correcting you or trying to fix or giving um, tips from outside because for it could be nice for me and affordable or doable. It's not for other family. So this is what I think it's missing. Some of the programs are like very for a type of person or for a type of family, believing that in every culture, for every family, I have three kids. I have not been the same mother for each of them because it was in a different age. I had different experience. My surrounding at the time they were little were different. I was living in different places with different people. I had different experiences. They have different personalities. So neither for myself with my three kids, my two boys, or it's not because it's a girl or a boy. They are completely different, and I think we tend to make rules and strategies and protocols that are not giving space for what it really is present. Um, so yes, I take in all these reflections for myself and my life, and because I had the opportunity to have mentors and groups and going through this information, but listen to my own voice as well and make my own protocol. I
Yeah.
This is something that I would like to offer, and
Yeah.
being
For
present.
others to find their own voice and their
Exactly.
own protocol that works for them, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, the every child is different, so we are a different parent to each child. Like in some ways, we're not. Yeah, it's a different relationship, and it works differently. And you were talking about the some of the mothers who, I think, when you're dealing with children with disabilities, like a lot of the focus is on the kid and then all the appointments and all the things. And it's like, oh, how are you? And it's like, oh, I've been busy because we've had this and this and this and this. And it's like, okay, I hear all the things that you're doing. How are you through all of that? And how you said sometimes it takes 2, 3 times of asking that question for them to be like, yeah, oh, right, what about me? What is my experience through all of this? Because it sounds like it's just like get through the things, check off the boxes, and then what's left. And here you're like, okay, let's kind of put that aside for a minute and let's be with you. What do you need? How are you? What's your experience? How is this affecting you? And
Hmm.
even I think to be asked that, like, because I mean, you said a lot of stuff is very medical, or clinical, and it's like, who takes the time to ask the mom how they're doing, you know, because the focus is on the kid and the supports that they're needing, and how it must be so foreign if they're not getting the question, you know. It's like, yeah, to take that time with them to even ask that question must be huge.
Mhm. The other day I hear something. I don't have the article, but I hear that the best indicator for a person to thrive is not so many things that people were saying, but the happiness of the mother. And it was like, oh, I really need to take care of myself. Because
Mm.
when you are not fully happy or satisfied, it's hard to offer to your children, and your children sense you. It's not what you said or exactly what you are doing, it's your body language, it's your expression. They know us very well. So investing in the
Mm.
parents, it's something that it's huge for the parents and it's huge for the children and for the whole family. So to having inclusion in the society, the first group of inclusion is the family. You know, every one of us come into a family as the first social group in where we learn how the relationships are working and how to take care of yourself while you attend the needs of everyone that you love and you live with. So it's a huge learning process, and taking care of the family or taking care of the parents is something that I receive and I would like to give.
Mm. Yeah. Like you said, like, and it's not making mom happy, right? But it's the mother taking that responsibility to be okay, you know, whether whatever it is for her to be okay so that she can show up, and it's not, you know, the kids feeling responsible, or, you know, when the mom doesn't and there's like resentment towards the kids for her needs not being met, you know, that when the mother is taken care of, then it can pour out to the whole family. And yeah, but when that doesn't happen, a lot of a lot of issues can arise. But yeah, and it sounds like it really hit you as the importance of taking care of yourself for the type of way you'd like to show up for your kids.
Mhm. I need to remind me several times. Sometimes I'm thinking in making a tattoo here in my arm just to remind every day, because as we were saying, it's so easy to say. In the day by day, we have challenges, we have patterns that come up, and we consciously need to make an intention of live the life that we believe or we learn or we feel that is the best one. But life is getting so in such a speed and with so many things and so many inputs and demands that sometimes it's like you get lost in the flow of, I'm busy, I'm tired, I'm busy, but where are these running for? What is your real intention? Why are you doing all this? It's just because everyone is busy and you have been in the same trend, or are you doing that for an intention, for a purpose, for a time? What are your gains and loss? Can you make a list of what I'm losing, what I'm gaining, what are my intentions? Like, make a map of what I'm doing with my life, where I'm going, why I'm doing everything, why or in which things are going to spend my time. Because, so many times we pick up the phone to send a message, and 40 or 30 minutes later you put your telephone down and said, oh yes, I was picking up the phone to send that message that I didn't send, and you was losing yourself in with entertainment or um yeah. So we need to be very conscious about what we are doing, mainly when we raise children, because they are watching us. It's not what we say, we are modeling all the time. So it's a big
Exactly.
responsibility, but a great adventure and a learning, constantly learning process.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sitting with just my own experience of, not taking care of myself and the impacts that that has had on my family in the past, but not realizing that it was having
Hmm.
an impact.
Hmm.
Just thinking like, "Oh, my kids' needs are so important. I have to meet those." It's okay if, I self-sacrifice, but then not realizing the actual consequences of that, or what the actual reality is with doing that. And yeah, it kind of what you're saying before about, we can have this cognitive knowledge. It's like, oh, okay, my needs matter now. My body has been, my whole life thinking my needs don't matter. And just by like hearing my needs matter and like, oh, I need to make this a priority, doesn't mean my body's just going to immediately follow along and like make it easy for me. It's like, oh, all of a sudden, if my kids' needs always felt like an emergency, that's not just going to go away. I
Hmm.
have that activation in my body,
Hmm.
but then I can stop and think and, oh, they're going to be okay. Oh, what would it be like if I took care of myself in this moment? What could I offer my kids from that, instead of this depleted state where I'm meeting something? Not even sure what it is that I'm meeting, but it's like, I don't know, maybe a physical need, but the emotional part is not there, or
Hmm.
I'm going through the motions, but I'm not present, or um,
Yes,
yeah, but
yes. And it's hard because I saw my mom doing that. I saw my mom taking
mm,
care of everyone and the house and my father and the work of my father and our school, our study. We were four. So I had two brothers and a sister. So it was a huge family. She was cooking in the very beginning. We even have disposable diapers, and she was doing so many things. She was, things were there was not so many machines or practical stuff. So I saw her working and serving and doing. She was looking always happy, but then I thought, wow, I never saw her, travel on her own with some friends or doing something just for her. Um, it was like my mother was always there, well, always in the kitchen, always doing something, uh, ironing or washing or cleaning or making food or taking care of us. I grow with that. So even if
mhm,
I know things change, is what I try to imitate. Is what I receive as the way of showing love.
mhm.
Um, but I don't want to pass exactly all that to my children. I want
Right.
to know, uh, let them know that their needs matter and minds as well. That we are in a respectful relationship in where love doesn't mean sacrifice. I mean, I don't know if my mother understood like sacrifice, but I know she dedicates big part of her life to the house and her husband and her children and her mother and the extended family. Um, so I try my best, changing few things, trying to pass all the
Mhm.
love um, and things that were good for me, but making some adjustments. Um, and as you said, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes your body is like, no, this is too much. Like I said today, is sometimes I was asking myself, is this consciously parenting really working? Hello. Um, but yeah, on the other moments I said, yes, it's working. And I see the results because my children are grow up and I saw the results. Um, and this is what I want to offer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hear that you you see what was modeled for you and the impact it's had on you, and you see that what you do is the model for your kids, and there's some things you want to change, and um yeah, just noticing what's getting passed down, and like you said, our kids are watching. It's what we do that matters. It doesn't really matter what we say, because they will do what we do.
Hmm.
And um, it's really powerful. Sometimes it can feel like a huge responsibility. I mean, it is. Um, but also going back to, you know, compassion and for ourselves, because we are to do this consciously. We're unlearning things and relearning new things. And that's a lot of work.
Hmm.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and it's energy demanding. It's not a physical work, but control your impulse, making a pause, think, uh, regulate yourself or co-regulate with your child, something that, maybe my parents were not doing, or apologize when you um, talk in a way you was not supposed to talk, or things that you said when you was completely overwhelming in a survive mode. You was also reacting like a crocodile, and then you need to go back and model that they're going to make mistakes, and they need to know how to apologize and be courage and have the courage to say, I think I messed up a little bit, and let's go back again and let's clarify uh, what belongs to me, and I need to be responsible for my part. But there was some triggers maybe we need to work on, because it could happen tomorrow and the next day. So let's make some adjustment. What do you think you can do to help me? What I commit myself to try to do, but sometimes it's not possible. And you said a very important word that I have been developed is the compassion with myself. I start saying that I was quite controlling or demanding in my business, and in my parenting is not different. I'm trying uh, to have things under control, and life is not perfect and things happen, and this is this is a great opportunity to evolve and to learn, but it demands really believe on that, and being conscious. Don't think they're going to forget about that. We don't need to review what happened yesterday. Let's leave it behind, because I know that as an adult I carry things from my childhood, so I'm not forgetting some of the situations I have been through. It's not because I was a child, because my body is still feeling something that come from early age. Maybe even for the way the days in where I don't have a conscious memory, that it's in my body and I know it come from somewhere. Um, so yes, huge responsibility to bring to our children our best version. That's why we need to work so much on ourselves and attend our needs. This is what I want to offer to the parents, because with a child with special needs it's much easier to forget about yourself and to try to over parenting and protect your child, um, and give them autonomy. It's a way of it's an act of courage, because
Mhm.
it's difficult to leave your child to go on their own in the street, with your child with Down syndrome or with intellectual disability, or with some challenges, it's even harder. We tend to overprotect, and one day we're not going to be here, so we need to live citizens that are responsible and know uh, what they can do, what they cannot do, where and how to trust people or not. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. And you get that. You get that so well, and through your own experience, and it's um, such a gift to be able to offer that to others, so that hopefully they can experience that too. Yeah. Hmm. There's something else that came up for me when you were speaking, but I can't remember what it is now. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. I don't know.
I was talking about, how much courage we need to have to face,
Mm.
some of the challenges that, and some of the fears that everyone is putting on you. Oh, they can be full foolish, but someone, or someone can take advantage of if they are innocent. So working in in the connection, and in
Yeah.
the talking and yeah, talking and talking and talking, and let them know things, and check on how they what abilities they already gain, and how much freedom you can give. um, yeah, and without not
Right.
overprotecting, but without being aware of the challenges they have. This balance, this is what is hard, the day by day situations. I'm still learning so much for the parents who have adult children. Um, and I know that soon my daughter is going to finish school, and it should be to, I don't know, university or to go to work. New challenges are coming, and it is scary, but it's it's life. So if I'm not
Yeah.
really ready and prepare and take care of myself, I could not face these challenges. It's going to be too much, and I'm can have the risk of trying to manipulate and control her to her being safe at home with me, but because it's going to be easy for me. Certainly, it's not going to
Right.
be the best for her, but this
Right.
this boundary in what I um, can tolerate or can face, or what she can
Right.
do. It's and I think it's with every child. I don't want to think that of the day that one of my children go out of the house. But I know one day is going to come. I need to be prepared for that, uh, because I
Yeah.
love to be with them. But because I love them so much, I know that one day they're going to be out of the house. Uh, so what I want to
Yeah.
say is that always are going to be new phases and stages and challenges. So being a mother is not one lesson or one book or one course. It's a human development process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like you said, especially with special needs kids, how much easier it is to be in control so that your fears are,
ta-
you know,
Taken care of.
right. But that to separate that out, what belongs to you, what belongs to them, letting them live their life, not just catering to your fears, right? And a lot of parents need support for that
Mhm.
because that is, that is really hard
Mhm.
to deal with. Some of those fears can be so overwhelming.
Yes, and so real,
Um,
so real because
yeah,
we open the
yeah,
newspaper, we know that things happen. So where is
right.
the limit and where you can hold it or you can afford it and how much support you need to face that and review why or where all this coming from and what can you do, how you can manage somehow everything and find out a model that in where everyone needs our respect.
Right, right. And you had said earlier, like, oh, this consciously parenting thing isn't working. And now, as your children are growing up and almost out of the house, like, you recognize, yeah, this was worth it. This is worth it. And you're seeing those benefits and you're able to find the supports that you need, and not even just find them, but receive the support that you need so that you can provide yourself with what you need, your kids with what they need, and having that help for your fears, the support for your fears and concerns, and so that you make space for what you need so you can make space for what they need, and it's not all blurred and
Mhm.
blended together.
Well, sometimes it
So
is.
that's such a gift.
Sometimes it is.
Yes.
This is a one thing that I really would like to clarify. It's not because I'm working or I'm reading or I'm holding space that I taking it perfectly. Sometimes I really lost my
Right.
patience. Sometimes I mess up. So uh, it's a constant work and reminder and an intention and review. That's why I think
Mhm.
all parents need support. We go to university to have a degree, and we are capable or we have the habilitation to work on that and to raise a child is like you know you don't need anything. Every child is different. Do whatever you can do and go on. So some parenting education, some strategies that you can use as you want are very, very important. I think it should be compulsory to have some kind of parenting education because sometimes you really
Yeah.
don't know what to do. It's hard.
No. Well, like you said, you go to university to get a degree for a job so that you're competent. Well, parenting is like the hardest job you're ever
Do
gonna have,
whatever.
and you don't get anything. There's no there's there's no manual, there's no,
Recipe.
yeah. Oh, right. It's just, oh, you're a parent now. Great. Figure it out.
Yes.
Good
Good luck.
luck.
Yeah, and some people present themselves. Like for example, I'm a biologist, and by the way, I'm raising three children, trying to be um, three human beings with self-esteem and with empathy and loving persons and responsible. It's by the way, but my main occupation is like I'm a teacher or I'm a this or that, uh, and it's like huge responsibility with not teachers and subjects and tests and then you keep studying. In every profession you need to go for some update courses and capacitations and
Right.
this and that, and in the meantime you're facing the challenges and you take out of a magic wand and try your best, um, yeah, to raise the new generation that is going to take the decisions for the politicians and the politic staff and the economy and the taking care of the planet. They are the ones who are going to be in that places, and where are they going to take all these personalities and educations from?
Yeah. Well, thank you for being someone who sees that, who understands that, who's taking steps to support people in that so that we have a more conscious world where people feel supported and more likely to get what they need. It's such an important um, role to play, and not everyone sees that. So we need, more people who get it, that are willing to, yeah, support those who don't. And that's what you're doing.
Yes. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for having this opportunity to talk and to be present with whatever is present for us, with no agenda, or with not need to perform, take the conversation and the time as it is for whatever it comes. Uh, that's nice, and
Yeah.
you make me feel very comfortable.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for being here, for sharing, for being open and taking this journey with me. And as we close, I'm wondering if there's anything you're taking with you from this conversation.
I take in the need and how nice it feels to have some time to reflect and what we are doing, why we are doing, being conscious about the energy and the work and the beliefs that are motivating us. Sometimes I find myself doing, and have these moments like, a recess in where you can relax and think a little bit and have no the pressure of the class and doing and performing. It's like, oh, some me time. That's so nice and so needed. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to reflect together and to having the space to listen to what I need to say, what I'm feeling, what are my projects. It feels good when someone is really present without an
Mm.
agenda or without um, trying to conduct the conversation to a previous settings or structure. We need more
Mm.
free time to reflect and more presence.
Yeah. Time to just to be together, right? Enjoy the being
Hmm.
and taking that break from all the doing and not having the a structure and agenda, but just, yeah, being as we are. We need that.
Hmm. I don't know if it's hard
And
for other people or it was hard for you to think about this podcast and what I'm going to ask. Nothing. What are you present with? That's it. And because it can take whatever direction. Uh, it's not
Mhm.
that you have 5 questions that people need to answer. So you're very courage. You have so much courage as well. Because it could be
Thank you.
whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea what's gonna come up. So sometimes it's a little like, yeah, I mean, I have to resource myself before this because I'm like, I don't know what kind of ride we're gonna go on and where it's gonna take us. So it's always interesting, but fortunately, with lots of practice, it it's pretty. I wouldn't necessarily say easy, but I'm comfortable usually
Hmm.
with just being with whatever comes up. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, so I'm just noticing I'm just grateful that you were willing to be here and to share what was present for you and the very real challenges that all of this is, and to show up in what's real. I feel like, you were talking about social media and trying to find people, and how much on social media is not real. So for me, it's refreshing to spend time in the realness of life and with those who are willing to share what's real. And yeah, so I'm feeling very grateful, and I got a lot of reminders myself about parenting and taking care of myself, and yeah, why I do what I do. So um yeah, and it's I'm grateful to know you, and that your work is getting out there in the world. So I hope this new business takes off for you, and yeah, that your offering is found, because I know so many people could benefit from it. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Christine.